Hey guys, what's going on? This is Wise back with another tutorial of AutoCAD series. This is a project-based tutorial. In this tutorial, we will make a 2D plan of a house and then a 3D model of the house on the top of the same plan. So this tutorial is not focusing on 2D planning. Instead, we're going to look deep into 3D modeling. I'll teach you how to apply materials and render our final view. I'm going to give you a quick tour of 3D Studio Max as well. So this is the first part of our tutorial. So in this tutorial, I'll be covering 2D plan and a 3D model. But the second part will be coming up within a week, in which I'll teach you how to apply materials in AutoCAD and 3D Studio Max. So if you like this video, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, which helps me a lot and keep me going to making all these videos. Alright guys, let's start a new drawing. I can start a drawing by clicking here, or you can start a drawing by going to your AutoCAD menu and click on new. Let's click here. Now I'm going to set up my drawing according to my liking. I'm going to turn off this grid mode, type units, and change your units to architectural. Precision 1/8 is fine. Now let's define our limits. So type limits, enter, give value of 300 feet, 300 feet. So as you know that the first value is x-axis and the second value is y-axis. So I'm going to press enter, and now you need to zoom all your drawing. So Z, enter, A for all. Now your drawing is set up. Let's define an area of our house project. So the area I've got is 42 feet by 85 feet. So I'm going to select a rectangle and I'm gonna click here and click on dimension, so you can define a dimension. So I'm going to type 42 feet for my width, and length would be 85 feet. So I've got this rectangle, so this is the area I'll be working in. I'm going to explode that by using my explode command. The shortcut key for that is X, and you need to select the object, press spacebar, and now we have separate object. The way I'm gonna start working on my project, I'm gonna start from this end and I'm gonna work through to the right. Okay, so first let's define our first wall. So I'm going to use offset command 9" from this wall to this wall. That's done. Use your filter command by typing F, click on radius, make sure it's 0, spacebar, and now select this line and select this line. Now our left corner is set up. From now on, whatever command I use, I'm going to explain that once, but the second time I use that command, I will not explain to make this video shorter. So the first command I'm going to explain is the offset command. So in the modify panel, you have this offset command. Shortcut key is O. So I'm going to click here and it's going to ask me the distance of the offset. So I have to do that by 13 feet. So type 13 feet, spacebar, and select your object. So if you move your cursor to the left, it will offset to the left, and if you move your cursor to the right, it will offset to the right. So offset here, and now I'm going to give offset of 11 feet from this line to the top. I will change that offset to 4.5". So make your cursor on the right position to perform an offset. Give offset of 6 feet from this line to the right, and now offset 9". Offset 20 feet from this line to the right, and now offset 9". To make this faster, I use shortcut keys all the time, so that's really good idea if you guys want to be a faster drafter. So use your shortcut keys instead of going to this command and using your mouse. Okay, so now we have these things. Alright, so I'm going to offset of 2 feet to the right and give offset of 9". And now I'm going to get rid of these lines and I'm going to extend that. So there's two ways you can extend. You can use your extend command and you can just select the object, drag that vertex to the perpendicular. So this is how you can use that. Now I'm going to show you how to use a trim command. So to trim command, we have it here in the modify panel. So I'm going to type TR as a shortcut key, press spacebar. Now it's going to ask me to select an object from where I want to trim. So I want to trim from this line, right? I'm going to select this object and press spacebar one time, and now what I can do is if I hover over my cursor to this line, it's going to get rid of this line, and if I hover over my cursor to the left, it's going to get rid of that. So I'm going to get rid of these by clicking here. So this is how you use your trim command. TR, done. So one more thing I want to show you. Let's say you don't want to select an object where you want to start trimming. So 3R, it's going to ask you to select an object. You can just press enter to go to the next step, and now you can just start clicking on the lines. So I'm going to get rid of these, all of these. Okay, so now I'm going to give offset 2 feet from this line to the top, make a wall of 9 inch. So now it's better off selecting an object instead of just clicking all the way here. So I'm going to use TR. I'm going to select this line and press spacebar, and I can get rid of all these lines. Okay, and I'm going to get rid of these lines. So I'm going to select this line now. If you do any mistake in your drawing, so you can always undo. You can undo here, or you can type U and press spacebar. So TR and get rid of these lines. I'm going to get rid of all of these lines. Okay, so now we don't need these, we don't need these, and I'm going to get rid of these, all of these. Alright, so now I'm going to give offset about 17 feet from this line to the top, and then I'm going to get rid of these lines and let's say these lines as well, and I'm going to make a wall 4.5 inch from this line to the top. Okay, so now let's get rid of some lines what we don't need. So I'm going to get rid of these. So I'm going to show you how you can select the object. Let's say if I select from this side to the left, it will select everything comes in the selection. This is called window selection. So if you click here and drag your cursor to the right, it will perform a blue window. The blue window is only select any object which comes completely in it. So I'm going to select these objects by selecting with the blue window. Alright, so now I'm going to give offset of 20 feet from this line to the top, make a wall of 9 inch, offset to the 9 inch, and now you can use your fillet command. I'm going to use the fillet command now. So we have a fillet command here in a modify panel, but I'm going to use shortcut key which is F, press spacebar, and now it's asking you to select the first object. So this is a line I want to fillet, so I'm going to select this line, and it's going to ask me to select a second object, and I'm going to click on this line which is going to be fillet with that line. So now I can use the same command, use this line, done. Okay, so we have this room, we have this garage here, this is going to be our porch area, and this is our living area. Use your offset command and offset about 15 feet from this line to the top, and you can offset 4.5 inch. Okay, so now there's another thing I want to show you here is you can copy that. Let's say I want these two lines 15 feet on the top, so I can just copy them. So CO for the copy command, select these two objects. So select this point, move your cursor to the top. As you can see that if you type any number here, let's say if I type 15 feet, it's gonna copy that 15 feet on top. So we don't have to offset 4.5 inch to make a wall and get rid of all the lines, which is easier. Okay, so now I'm going to offset about 11 feet from this line to the right and offset 9 inch for the wall. Now I'm going to extend these lines, and I want to get rid of these and here. Now trim, get rid of these lines here on top here, and we don't need these lines as well. Okay, alright, so now I'm gonna give another offset about 21 feet from this line to the top, and I'm going to extend that as well, and offset of 9 inch and let's get rid of all these. So I'm going to show you one more thing in the trim command. So TR, press one more time and use your fence selection. So fence selection is basically lets you draw a line. So you draw a line wherever you want to trim. So I'm going to get rid of all of these. So I'm going to use my fillet command now. Select this line, and you're done. Okay, so just get rid of these as well. Fence selection is really easier to get rid of whatever you don't need. Okay, so we have pretty much our walls done now. Let's make one more thing here. So I'm going to offset of 5 feet from this line to the right, and I'm going to give offset of 4.5 inch to the right, and I'm going to get rid of these lines, and these lines. Okay, so now I'm gonna clean up a little bit. Alright, so our walls are done now. Let's make something here. So I'm going to give offset about 2 feet, right? And I'm going to make a line here and give offset of 4.5, maybe 9 inches fine. So 9 inch offset from this line to this line, and I'm going to give another offset of 2 feet from the right and give offset of 9 inch, and use your fillet command and extend these lines to down and these lines as well. So what am I doing is basically I'm just making a design for, so whenever we draw a 3D drawing, whenever we draw a 3D model on the top of a 2D, so which look a bit more better. So this is just a design. So okay, so now up to define a porch area. So I'm going to use my Polyline command. This is just the same line, but what it does is basically, let's say if I draw a polyline, this is my polyline, and I select from here, so which will select the whole polyline. It is a combined object. So if I draw a simple line, let's say I've got a few lines here now. If I select this line, it's gonna only select this line. So this is basically a separate lines. So this is the difference between polyline and a line. So type PL for polyline. Start from here, drag your cursor down. I'm going to give value of 4 feet to the right, and how you can make a reference is you hover over your cursor to the end point of this, make sure your object snapping is on, and drag your cursor down, which will make a reference to it, and it will make a intersection reference. So I'm going to click and click. So this is basically our porch area, right? And there's another porch area here, so I'm going to use my polyline command again, give offset of 4 feet, and just draw your line to down. Done. Now our plan is ready for doors and windows. So in this video I'm going to teach you something very important, which is going to be a dynamic block. So what I want you to learn is make one door with 2.5 inch. Now our plan is ready for cutting edges for doors and windows. So the important part of now our plan is ready for cutting edges for doors and windows. So I'm going to teach you something very important. I'm going to create a dynamic block of the door. So let's say I need a door here of 2.5 feet, right? And I need a door here about 3.5 feet. So I don't want to make a door again and again with different dimension. So I want to make one door so I could use that with a different dimension. So let's have a look, how can we make that? Let's cut an edge for the door, right? So I'm going to go here and offset about 4.5 inch to the right, and we need a door of 3.5 feet, right? So I'm going to offset this line again, and I'm going to use the extend command, extend these lines, and trim, use your fence selection, get rid of the line. So we have our cutting edge for the door, right? So I'm going to use my polyline command. I'm going to make a polyline, and I'm going to drop it 3.5 feet, and I can give another value here, 1 inch. Now if you look at the command line, you have this arc option, right? I'm going to click on it, it's gonna change that to arc. Polyline can be changed to arc and to line. So I'm gonna click here. So this is our first door, right? So I'm going to copy that door and I'm going to make that a block, right? So I'm going to drop it here and I'm going to make that door a block. So what I can do, I can basically rotate that first. So I'm going to select the rotate command, select this point, and then I'm just gonna give a value of about here. So we have our door, right? So I'm gonna type B for the block command. You can go to insert tab and click on create block, which is the same thing. I'm gonna give a name of door and I'll specify your point by clicking this and specify this point. Select your object, select this door. Now you can see that in a preview. Make sure your opening block editor is checked. Click OK. This will open that door in a block editor. So now what kind of functionality we need in the door? We need functionality such as flipping, rotation, and scaling, right? So I'm gonna click on this palette and go to your parameters. Here you have different kinds of parameters, right? So I'm gonna click on this flip parameters first, and I'm gonna pick this point and pick this point, and I'm just gonna drop that there, right? So we got one parameter now. So I'm gonna select this parameter and I'm gonna select this arrow and I'm just gonna drop it here so it doesn't get really messy here. Click on flip parameter again, select this point, select this point, and just drop it outside somewhere and drag that arrow about here. So we got two parameters right now. So we need the rotational parameter as well. Click on rotational parameters, click this endpoint. Now it's going to ask you to specify the radius. This is our radius and it's asking for the angle. You can type 90, but I'm just going to click here to get that radius, right? Alright, so we got our radius parameter. I'm just going to drop that about here. Alright, so we got our radius parameter done. Now we need a scaling parameter. So I'm going to click on linear, select this point, and I'm going to select this point, and I'm just going to drop it here. Alright, so we have our parameters, but we gotta give them an actions as well. So click on this action tab. Now click on this flip action. Select this parameter, which is Autocad asking us. So select this parameter. Now it's gonna ask us select an object. Object is our door. Just hold down your shift key to deselect whatever you want to do. Press spacebar, and your action has been applied to that parameter. Click on flip action again and click on this parameter, and now I'm going to select this object, spacebar. That's done. Now apply your rotational action. Click on this, select your parameter, which is this angle, and it's going to ask you to select an object. Select this object. That's done. So we have one parameter here, second parameter is here, rotational parameter. So there's one error we have here, right? So I'm gonna select this, just gonna drag that a little bit to the left. Alright, so now we have two different parameters, we can see them. Now we need to apply scaling action to our distance parameter, right? Click on scale, select this parameter, and now select this object, spacebar, done. Click on save block, block has been saved, close your block editor. Alright, so now we got our block done, right? So now let's cut the edge for another door. So I want to have another door here in this room. So I will offset about, let's say, 4.5 inch here. Just gonna drag that vertex to the perpendicular, offset about, let's say, just get rid of this line first so we don't have to trim that two lines. Also about 2.5 feet this time, okay? So we had our door of 3.5 feet, but I'm gonna offset this 2.5 feet. Get rid of these lines. Type I, spacebar for the block. Select your door, which is our door block. Click OK, and now I can just drop that door. Let's say I'm gonna drop it here, and I'm gonna give angle this angle, right? So now this door is a dynamic block. So I'm gonna drag, click on it. Now as you can see, we can see our parameters, right? So I'm gonna click here, which will flip that door, and Now there's one error because I want to flip that backwards. I want to change that to 2.5. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to just drag that and I'll give a value of 12 inch, which is going to be 2.58 because it's 3.5 feet. So I'm going to click the door again and click this arrow button, which will apply over door. How easy is that? So now I'm going to finish off all my doors. We have done our doors and now next we're gonna do our windows, right? So windows is much easier. First thing what you do is you need to create layers. So go to your layer properties and now I'm gonna create a new layer, give a name wall, make another layer, give door, another layer for windows, and I'll give okay. So now I'm gonna change the color. Let's say I will change the color to say green. Door can be orange and windows can be, let's say, red or whatever. It's up to you guys. Okay, so now I'm gonna select my door, all of them, and then change them to doors, and I'm going to isolate this layer this time, and I'm going to select all my drawing and change that to wall. So I click here and I'm going to turn off the layers, and now we have our doors and walls. I'm going to create a window right there. I'm going to zoom in and let's say I want to draw a window here in the middle. So what I do is I will just make a line from the midpoint, and my window is going to be about, let's say, 6 feet. So I give value 3 feet on both sides. Alright, and I'm going to use my window selection and get rid of this line. And now I need to trim off these. Let's say I'll select the window layer and I want to change these two lines to my windows layer. Alright, so now I'll just draw a line here. Same line you can draw here, and make offset of 3.5 because it's a 9-inch wall, so I know what's offset we need it. This is how I show my window. There's so many ways that you can show your window. It's not really matter. So I'm gonna make a same window here. Well, I could make a block of the window, but it doesn't really matter because you can copy and paste and you can move those lines and then trim it off. So that window, you don't need to make a dynamic block. Alright, so I'm gonna drop another window. I'm gonna copy that window, start from this midpoint, and I'm just gonna drop it here. I'm gonna change the dimension. So I'm gonna move this line a little bit down, about, let's say that was 6 feet, so I'm gonna give 12 inch and then same thing I'm gonna do here with this line, 12 inch. So wall window is now 4 feet. So these lines, and you need to get rid of this line, and red lines. All right. So now trim it off from the middle, and then the green lines are gone behind that red line. Alright, so I'm gonna finish off my windows. Once I'm done, then we'll talk about the next step. Alright guys, our windows are done now. So the next thing we're gonna look at is making stairs. So I've got this stair area there. So what I'm gonna do, I wanna make a line in the middle about here. Let's go and create a layer first. Go to your layer properties, create a new layer, name it stairs, and I'm going to change a color. Let's say this color, doesn't really matter. I'm going to change this to stair layer, and I'm going to make my stair layer as the current layer. Okay, so now I've got this here, right? So what I want to do, I want to use my array command. Draw a line from here, there, okay? And now I'm going to use my array command, a regular array. Click here, and now you get to select an object. So this is my object, and then as you can see that we got array there, and the array panel just came up. So I need about, let's say, 6 columns, and I need distance is about 9 inch. Alright, so now I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna change the rotation towards this side. Alright, and I can just drop it here, and I can get rid of these ones. So if I go and change my row to 1, I will be left with 1 row. Okay, so now I've got this, and then I'm going to create an offset of 1 inch, maybe 1.5 inch to this side and to other side. And now I'm going to get rid of this line in the middle. I'm going to use trim command, use my fence selection from this line, and I'm going to get rid of these lines. I'm going to offset about 2 feet from this line to this side, and I'm going to move my stairs to this side. I'm going to select my stairs, and I'm going to move the rotation to about, let's say, this side. So we got 2 feet distance from the wall, and I'm going to get rid of this line, and I'm going to explode this. So I'm going to type X, select my array, enter, and now it is a separate object now. Okay, so when I use my trim command with the fence selection, I can get rid of, and I'm going to extend the last line basically, and I'm going to get rid of this as well. And you can just copy these lines and just drop them from this point to perpendicular there, and now you can basically get rid of this line as well. Alright, so this is how we can make stairs. And there's another thing I want to show you here is you can just leave these lines, or maybe draw an offset about 3 inch from this line to this line, and now you can fill it out with this line to this line, extend this line, and now you can trim off this line there. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how you can make an arrow with the Polyline command. Start your Polyline command, pick a point. I'm going to pick this point as starting point, and I'm going to basically drop one line here, drop one line here, and now I'm going to drop one line here, right? And there's an option here in command line called width. So I'm going to give a width of, let's say, 6 inch, and the ending would be 0. Now I've got the arrow there, so I'm going to drop it there, and then I'm going to finish my command. This is how you can make arrows with the Polyline. Okay, so we got our stairs done, I've got my arrow done, windows and doors done now. So next thing what we're going to do, we're going to look at design center. There are a few things left in this plan before we jump to our next floor plan. So let's say I've got bedroom here, living area. To make it look like more professional, I need to put some interior to my drawing. So I need a dining table here, I need some living area stuff, I need a garage. So I gotta use the car there. So I've got the Porsche there. So let's start by looking into Design Center. Design Center is, you type ADC and you get this command AD Center, right? Click on that. Now you get this dialog box, right? If you don't see these objects, you need to go to your sample files, English US Design Center, and here you get a lot of files, right? So right now I'm looking into House Designer and click on blocks. So these are the blocks available in that file. So you've got toilet, you've got door plan, you got bathtub. So if you go to your house space planner, click on blocks, you get your queen bed, chair rocking, all that stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring some stuff into my drawing. It's very simple. You need to click and drag, or you can double click where you can get this insert dialog box. So I'm just going to click and drag to my file and just drop it there. That will import that object or block from this file to my file. Alright, so I'm going to need this dining set as well, and I'm going to need this table maybe, and I need a computer terminal or maybe a chair as well. If I don't need them, I can simply delete them, so that's not a problem. So for the toilet stuff, let's say I go to my house designer, click on blocks. So I need this toilet, I need this bathtub, I need this. Now go to your furniture, let's say kitchen, right? Double click on the blocks, so I click on the blocks. I'm gonna drag that and kitchen layout. I'm just gonna drop it there. And what else we need? We need a microwave, we need dishwasher, and we need wall cabinet, right? And we need this sink for the kitchen. Pretty much that's it we need. So now all you gotta do is you gotta use your move command, select an object, and just drop them there. You can just try yourself and move your stuff into your drawing. And now I'm gonna jump to annotation, and we're gonna show you how you can apply some dimension to it. So I'm just going to delete these because you can do that by yourself. I've shown you Design Center. So in this tutorial, basically my tutorial is about 3D modeling. I've done so many tutorials on 2D and the better ones are out there as well. I've got few more, I've got few tutorials already on the channel, check them out. So go to your Annotate tab, go to your drafting annotation workspaces and go to your Annotate tab, and here it's very simple. You've got this dimension command, you've got aligned, angular, all that stuff, right? But the proper way to do that, you need to check that dimension and you need to write down while using this text command. So you can just use your single line command, click, 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 and just start typing, right? So this is how you can just mention your text and dimensions. To check the dimensions, simply click on linear, pick 2 points, and just drop them. As you can see, you can't see any text right now. The text is like that, alright? So I'm going to show you how you can manage dimension styles. So click on this arrow button, or you can type DS. You get this dialog box, right? So you've got 2 styles right now, annotation and standard. So click on modify, and first thing what you do is go to your primary units, change decimal to architectural. Position should be the same what you mentioned in a unit, okay? And then go to text, keep the text height to about 6 inch, and here you've got a few options. Just play around. If you want to learn about dimension, check out my tutorial on them, so you will have a brief, you have an in-depth training with those tutorials. So I'm gonna click OK and close. Now let's select this linear command, select this corner, that corner, and just drop it there. So that's about 20 feet, 10 feet 9 inches. And just to mention that dimensions are always from inside the walls, not the outside the walls. So make sure when you write down your dimension, you write down the inside edge. So 19 4 by 4.5 inch. So this is the dimension on this side, and then you can select this point and this point. That's 21 and 7 by. I'm gonna start working on the first floor now, but just to mention that I'm not gonna go into deep in 2D anymore because this tutorial is dedicated to 3D modeling. So I'm gonna try making that first floor as soon as possible. I'm not gonna do rooms and stuff in tutorial. I'm just gonna mention the outer walls. So once I'm done with the outer walls, then we can start working on our 3D model. So if there is anything we need that to be made in 2D, I can do that later, but that's gonna be a rough walls outside. So I'm gonna start making my first floor, and then you can see that, but I'm gonna fast forward it. Now let's start working on our 3D model, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these lines first, and alright, so now I'm going back to my home and change that to 3D modeling workspaces. Now the first thing you need to do is you need to start making layers for 3D, okay? So click on layer properties. I'm going to make another layer called 3D wall, and I will give this color of, let's say, this grayish color, or maybe bluish color. Okay, so now we got that. I'm gonna make that layer as a current layer. Yep, and then now I'm gonna draw a line. So you can boundary that, but the worst part for the boundary is that it's gonna be very hard for you to manage that, because you need to cut and extrude a lot of stuff. So it's better if you draw a polyline. Take your polyline out, start just drawing on your drawing. So I'm just going to do this. Alright, so now I've got my polyline, which is a boundary of a house. So I'm going to make sure that I always have the copy of it. So I'm just going to drop copy here first. And now what you do is change your workspace, so viewport to SW isometric, and use your offset command. Give a 9" of offset to inside. Done. And then the first thing what you do is you just make a wall. So extrude these two walls about 10 feet. Done. And now you can use your subtract command. Change that to shaded so you know what's going on. So I'm going to change that to 3D wireframe, and then type SU, or you got this boolean operation here, subtract. Click on your outer object and click on whatever you want to subtract. Spacebar, change that to shaded. Now you got your walls done. Okay, which is pretty cool, right? So now next thing what we're going to do, I'm going to go back to my shaded. And now I'm gonna start working on our windows and door edges. I'm not gonna draw these inner doors because we don't have walls in there, so I'm just gonna draw lines. The easiest way to draw a window is by making a rectangle, REC for a rectangle. And now I'm going to use my move command, select this rectangle and give a value of 0,0,2 feet. So that will be 2 feet up on Z-axis in 3D space. Now you can extrude that. Let's say I'm gonna extrude that to, let's say 6 feet, right? I've got that extruding 6 feet. I'm going to make this window a little bit bigger. So what I can do is I can use my extrude face command or move face command. I'm just gonna select move face command, and I'm gonna try selecting that face. So to select that face, I have to come to this viewport. So how am I orbiting throughout my 3D space is hold down shift key and use your mouse wheel and drag. That will orbit that. So I'm just gonna say move face, select this face, or maybe I've got the other face, select that face. Alright, I've got this face now. I'm gonna deselect this. Alright, I've got this face. And I get rid of these. Alright, so now I'm going to start point here. I'm going to give value of 2 feet. So it's going to move that face. So our window is a bit bigger now. Alright, so now I've got that object in my wall. So same as there, I'm going to do is start making a rectangle. And choose your move command. Type P for previous selection. You can do that as well. So now I'm just gonna move that 0,0,2 feet. Done. Now the easiest way to do that is I can basically copy and paste. So and now let's make a subtraction. So I'm going to type ext for extrude command. I'm going to select all of these windows. Maybe let's make this a window first, right? So I'm going to make another window here, move that to 0,0,2 feet. Value, double enter, it will be on ZS axis in the 3D workspace. Okay, so now I think there's one window left, so I'm going to copy this window, select the point, and just drop that there as well. Alright, cool. So now we can extrude these windows, right? So I'm going to type ext for extrusion command, select all these windows. Okay, so I've selected those, right? So I'm going to make about 6 feet. Right, so we got them. And now I can use SU command, SU, select your walls, and now you gotta select all the windows, right? So it's gonna get subtracted. So select all your windows. Okay, that one too. And press spacebar. Let's go to a shaded mode. Now we got our windows cutting edge. There's one left here, but not a problem. I can just select that one. Need to go back to my 3D wireframe. I did not extrude that basically, that's why. So 6 feet, done. SU for extrusion, done. So that's done as well. So I'm gonna go back to my top view, and I'm going to turn off my 3D wall layer for a minute, right? I'm gonna turn it off because it's a current layer, that's why it's giving me this error. So I'm gonna change that to 0, right? And now here in a garage, I need to make a door for a garage. So just draw a line here. I'm gonna give offset of like 6 feet, let's say. Is that enough? That's not enough, so I'm gonna give offset of 9 feet on both sides. Yep, and get rid of this line, and then you can get rid of these lines as well. Just draw a line here to as a reference point that this is our garage gate. Okay, go back to your SW isometric view. Okay, and then turn on your 3D layer. Okay, so now we need a garage layer here, right? So I'm going to draw a rectangle, and I'm going to draw a rectangle here. So I'm gonna extrude that. I'm not moving in the 3D space because it's a garage gate. So I want to give about 9 feet, maybe 8.5 feet, right? And now just get rid of this by typing SU command, and let's say we'll get rid of this. Okay, so now let's look at it in shaded. Alright, we got that. It looks pretty okay to me. And now I'm gonna take this line. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back to my surface tab, select my extrude command, click on this, and now I can extrude that surface. So I can give 8.5 feet, done. That surface is done. I'm going back to my home tab, create a new layer, and name it garage gate and change the color to about brownish color, doesn't really matter. I'm gonna select that gate now and change that to garage gate. Alright, garage gate is done now. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to turn off some layers. I'm going to turn off windows layer, and I'm going to turn off wall layer. Keep the window layer on basically, because that's what you're working on. So now let's make our 3D window, right? It's gonna be a simple glass window because we're gonna give it a good effect in the 3D rendering. So just type, let's say what we have here is di for distance command. My laptop is a bit running slow, so di for distance, right? And then I'm going to select this point to this point. So I've got about 6 feet by 6 feet. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to draw a rectangle here for type D for dimensions. 6 feet length, 6 feet height. Done. And then you give a offset of about, let's say, 3 inch inside. And then what you do is you can copy as a backup because you're going to make a glass in a minute. So I'm going to extrude these both about 3 inch. Okay, and these are the surface because that's the problem. So I'm gonna delete them, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm in the surface 3D extrusion command. So not in the surface, but 3D solid extrude command. So I'm gonna select this line, and then I'm gonna try extruding now. So I give value of 3 inch. Alright, so now make sure that you're not using that surface 3D command. I'm gonna click this button to minimize tab, or you can use to maximize tab, right? So I've got that now. Make sure you're using 3D solid modeling. So SU for subtraction, select the outer part and then inner part, done. And now we need to make a glass. So I'm gonna type EXT for a solid. I'm gonna give 0.2. Okay, I'm gonna move that from, let's say, this point to about this point. Alright, so I'm going to use my move command now, and I'm going to give value of 0, 0, minus 0.3 inch. That's alright. So now I need to go make some layers. Make a new layer, 3D window, give a color of, let's say, greenish, it's fine. Make another layer, name it glass, change the color to gray or whatever you like, and now select this window frame and change that to windows, 3D windows, done. And then change that glass to glass layer, shade it. Pretty cool, right? I think the glass did not select that glass layer. Alright, so now it's alright now. Alright, we got the window there. Now I'm gonna drop that there. Okay, so I'm going to 3D rotate that first. I'm gonna select that window, and I'm going to select this angle, and I'm going to give it 90 degrees, right? So I'm going to now copy this, gonna select from this midpoint, and I'm going to drop that to the midpoint there, right? So it's pretty cool, right? Alright, so now I'm gonna drop some windows here. And now let's make our door. So I'm going to select that door by using the rectangle. I need to turn on the wall layer. Okay, so now I can select on the floor. So select that rectangle and then EXT for extrude, and maybe 8 feet, right? Top the 8 feet. And now I'm gonna cut that edge, SU, select that. and that's it. So we got our door done as well. Make a door, right? So what I can do, I can create a door, or I can basically perform a door with the material. So all you gotta do is just draw a line, so I can drop any other material on the door which will look like a real door, right? Now the easiest way to make our first floor is, first let's drop a slab, right? So I'm gonna basically copy that, and I'm gonna drop that on the top of our floor, and I'm going to give a value of about, let's say, 3 inch, and let's make a new layer, name it slab, leave the color to bluish, whatever the wall color was. I'm gonna select this, I'm gonna change that to slab. That's done. Alright, so now let's create our first floor. So I'm gonna go to my top view, and I'm going to start drawing a polyline. Let's go to layer properties first and make a new layer called 3D first wall, and color I'm gonna give, alright, so go out, make that layer as a current layer, and start drawing a polyline. So PL for polyline, start from here all the way down here. This is our garage, so it's not gonna cover that, and just make, alright, done. And now I'm gonna copy that, P for previous, and I'm just gonna leave that there, right? So as a backup copy. So now go to your SW isometric view and offset that to 9 inch. Well, it's not selecting, so what I have to do now, I'm gonna turn off my wall layer so I could select that. So offset 9 inch inside, that's done. Extrude both of these to 10 feet, and then SU for subtract command, select the outer boundary first and then inner part, and now you got that. Alright, okay, so to make the first floor, I'm going to turn off few layers so I could look at the drawing a bit more cleaner. So I've got this right now. Okay, so what you do is basically copy this wall and just select all the windows as well, and we don't need a door, not even a garage. Okay, so make sure you have selected all the windows, and now you can just copy this point and then just drop it about, just gonna zoom in. Okay, so I've got that right. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna copy this part and I'm gonna drop it same place there, right there. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use my intersection command, which is here, and I'm going to intersection both of these. Alright, I've got the slab there. I'm gonna deselect that slab, and I'm gonna select this wall and that wall. Okay, so now let's have a look what we have here. So I'm gonna turn that to shaded. So pretty much these windows are done because this is a straight wall. We have an issue here, so we can fix that. I'm gonna get rid of the slab first. Okay, so now we have these kind of stuff, right? So I'm gonna delete this window, and now we can do a bit of editing. Okay, so let's fix this wall first, which is a bit easier. So I'm gonna select this command and I'm going to move my face here. I'm gonna select this face, start from this point and just drop that there. That's been fixed. And then same command you can do with here. Select your move face command, select this face. Well, it's a bit of pain in the ass now. So what do you do now? you can just isolate this layer. So click on this icon, click here and select your wall, and that's the only layer you're gonna see now. So to fix the stuff, so that's more easier for the selection. So now I'm gonna select that command, select this face, start from this point, drop it here, that's been clean. Same here, select that face, this point to this point. Alright, so now we have a bit of trouble here now. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to change my viewport to SW isometric. Now I'm going to change my viewport to 3D wireframe. Let's make a rectangle here. So I'm going to make a rectangle from this point to here, extrude that from up till this point, and I'm going to copy this object and I'm going to drop that from this point to here. Okay, so let's find out what we have here. So we got this right now. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to move my faces. So I'm going to use my move face command, select that face from here to here. Now we have a bit of trouble here, so I'm going to move my face one more time from here to there, right? So I'm going to use my union command, and we have solved the problem. Now let's turn on our layers and let's see what we have here. So I'm gonna turn on all the layers and I'm gonna change that to shaded. Okay, so now we have pretty much whatever we needed. So I'm gonna get rid of this window first. Let's get rid of this window and glass, and now move that slab face a little bit further. So I'll select that face, starting point and finishing point is here. Alright, cool. So we have set up our first floor. Okay, so now let's make a column for our porch. Okay, so I'm going to use my copy paste command. I'm gonna copy this face. I'm just gonna draw that perpendicular here. Okay, and I'm going to explode that, and I'm going to extend this line. It wouldn't work. The reason why it wouldn't work is because our UCS is not according to that. So I'm gonna type UCS, drop your UCS that here, and your x-axis would be here, y-axis would be this point, right? So you got your UCS now. So I'm gonna extend this line now, maybe scrap that vertex and just drop that perpendicular, and now I'm gonna get rid of this line, and you need to get rid of these as well. Alright, so we got this, right? So I'm gonna draw another line here, and I'm going to use my boundary command. I'm gonna pick this point. It's gonna take a bit longer. Well, it didn't work, so I can just draw a rectangle from this point to this point, and I can extrude that a bit backward to 9 inches. Alright, so it didn't work because I need to give the value of -9 inches. So let's check the distance first. DI for the distance from this point to this point. So I've got 1 feet 3 inch, right? So I can extrude that now. Extrude command, select that this way. I can 1 feet 3 inches. Well, it still didn't work, doesn't really matter. What I'm going to do, I'm going to move that from this point to this point. Let's go to our layer properties and make a layer of column. Okay, and leave that color there, and make sure that your column is on your actual column layer now. Okay, so now I'm going to get rid of that line there. So I'm gonna turn off my column layer, and let's get rid of this. Alright, and now turn back on the column layer. Alright, so we got our column done. Now let's make our porch. So I'm gonna go to my top view, and let's see what we have here. So I can create a rectangle. So REC for rectangle, and just draw a rectangle here. And I can now go to my SW isometric view and type UCS to go back to the world UCS. And now you can move that from this point to here, and now you can basically extrude that. So I'm just gonna get rid of these lines because we need only, I'm gonna move this again from this point and just drop that here. Now let's say I'm gonna extrude that column about down, so I can give value of, let's say, 9 inch, right? So let's have a look what we have here. I'm gonna change that to shaded. Cool, so we have pretty much our porch area done. I'm gonna get rid of this line, and now what I can do, I can start doing some design work. Okay, so for the design work, what you can do is I'm going to copy that slab and I'll just drop that about here, and now I'm going to change this to 3D wireframe, and now I can basically extract edges. So go here, select your extract edges command and make sure your layer is on, let's say, 0. Select that and now turn off your slab layer. So now what you have is basically just these edges, right? So now I'm gonna use my join command and I select this line, and let's say this line. So now let's go and change our UCS to, and drop our UCS here. Use your Polyline command, draw about, let's say, 3 inch down. Your polar, it should be on, so down should be, let's say, 1 inch. Go back, make this arc and make a little bit round circle here, around here, and what you do is just drop it there, right? And then just move your arrow a little bit further. Now you can change this to an arc, create a bit of like design here. Okay, so this is what we have, right? So okay, use your boundary command, pick a point, done. Now you got this boundary, right? So now extrude that. So extrude that, solid extrude. Make sure you are extruding as a solid object, and then give a path this line. Okay, so now we have our extrusion done. Now I can just move that, or maybe copy that to keep that back up there. So I'm gonna start from this point and I'm gonna try finding that exact slab there. So maybe drop that there. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so I'm gonna change that to shaded now. Let's see what we have here. So it didn't really fit properly because my slab layer is off. So I'm gonna turn the slab layer on first, and then I'm gonna try moving this from, let's say, this point, and then move that to this corner, and now it should fit nicely. Okay, so let's have a look. Yep, so we got a bit of designing done for our roof, which will look nicer. And now the next thing what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a window here. First, let's move this face. I'm going to select and move this face. I'm going to start from this point and I'm going to drop it here because I don't want that to be that thick. Alright, so down here I'm going to select that move face command, and I'm going to basically move that down a little bit, let's say 3 more inch. Alright, so now we have a bit of nice design, whatever we needed. Okay, so this is done, that's done. Now I'm gonna create a window here, and then we will start working on our porch area, right? So let's create a window here. So I'm gonna use my UCS command, and I'm gonna select face and drop it this face. Done. Change this to, maybe make this layer isometric. Sorry, isolate this layer. RVC for a rectangle. First, let's change that to window layer, and it's off, but I'm gonna turn it back on. Alright, so now I'm gonna rectangle here. Alright, I'm gonna offset that to about 9 inch inside. Alright, so now I'm gonna get rid of this line And now we can start building our window here. So I'm gonna draw, let's say, another 3" and maybe explore this line. And now we have separate line here. Now I'm going to use my divide command. So div for divide, and select this line, and I'm gonna give maybe, let's say, 4 or 5. 5 is fine. Now we have our points here. Okay, DDP type. So we have this dollar, but I'm going to change that to this. So now I can see those points, right? So what I can do, I can just draw a polyline from this point to down perpendicular. Offset this 1.5" to the right and to the left. I'm going to turn off this layer. I'm going to select that, it's 3D wall. So I'm going to turn it off. Now we have this, right? So I'm going to get rid of this middle line, and now I'm going to copy these 2 lines from this node, and then just drop them about here. Okay, it's cool. So now we have these. I'm going to get rid of these points. Now we don't need them anymore. I'm just going to get rid of them. Now I'm going to change that to somewhere layer, let's say 3D, let's say stair layer, right? This is just a temporary layer. Okay, so now I'm going to turn these layer on, stairs, and now I'm going to use my boundary command, BO for the boundary. Select all these boxes here because our UCS is on right place, so I can make boundaries. So I'm gonna turn off my boundary layer. I'm gonna go back to my window layer, and now I can get rid of the middle part. So just get rid of these, get rid of all these inside parts, right? Get rid of this line. Oops. So get rid of this line, and you need to get rid of this line. Alright, so now I'm gonna extrude this to about -3". Alright, we got that, and now what I can do, I'm just gonna turn on my stair layer, which is I have, and I'm gonna turn off my window layer, and now I can extrude them as well. So I'm gonna change my stair layer, and I'm going to keep 1 copy of this, right? So for my glass, so I'm gonna extrude them. Does not really matter how much you extrude. So I'm gonna turn on my window layer now, and I'm going to select my window layer, select SU for subtract, and select this object first, which is a window, and then select all of these, right? And now as you can see, we got this window done. Alright, now I've got this here, right? So I'm going to change that to glass. Alright, it's going to go away because that layer is off. So I'm going to turn it back on, right? And I'm going to extrude that about, let's say, -1", a 0.1", right? Doesn't really matter. I'm going to change that to glass layer. Alright, so now we got that. Now let's basically copy and paste. I'm going to copy this object from this point, and let's drop it. Well, it's better that if you change that to 3D wireframe, which will be easier for you to pick a point. So I'm going to copy that again and take that and just keep dropping. I'm going to drop that in the middle point. So as you can see that with the help of UCS command, you don't have to draw every object on the plan. You can just make any face, any plane to your main working area. So let's have a look. I'm going to turn on all the layers, and now I'm going to change that to shaded. And now there's one more thing we have to do here. I'm going to isolate this layer. Select this isolate layer command, select this wall layer and isolate that, right? And then you turn on your window layer as well, right? And then you can basically draw a rectangle from this endpoint and draw from here to about here, right? Okay, so we got the rectangle there. I'm gonna turn off my 3D window layer, and now I'm gonna extrude these two backwards. I'm gonna use my subtract commands SU and then select this object, and now you got that. Now turn on your layers. Alright, so now we got the window there, right? So let's see what we have here. Okay, so now we got these windows done, and we have over this area. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make another design. So I'm gonna change this to 3D wireframe, and I'm going to, this is my column layer, right? And this is, make that column as well. We can change the layers later on, it's not a problem. So I'm gonna change this dimension. So I'm going to move my face a bit from this point to, let's say, 3 inch. Make it a bit smaller, right? It was too big for the plan, so I'm gonna move it here, and I'm gonna move this part as well. So I'm gonna use the same command, select that point there, and then give it a 3 inch. Right, so we got that, right? So now I'm going to copy this column from, let's say, this point, and I'm just gonna drop it there, right? So you got that, right? But I'm gonna do a little bit of designing here, which is like, if your drawing look like this way, it's not really attractive, isn't it? So you can basically move this face as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my UCS, and I'm gonna select that face, just gonna drop that there, and now I can start working here. So I'm gonna use my Polyline command. I'm going to start my Polyline command from this endpoint. Well, let's isolate this layer first so we don't have any trouble. So I'm gonna start my Polyline command from this point. Okay, there's a reason why it didn't select. It's not selecting that line, so we can start from here. Drop it here, and I'm going to give a value of, let's say, 9 inch, and perpendicularly drop it there, and just drop it there, right? Okay, so we got this polyline. I can change this arc, convert to arc, and I'm gonna make this a little bit round here. Right, so this is cool, right? Isn't it? Okay, so we got that. Now I'm going to extrude that from, let's say, okay, well, I accidentally did explode, so I don't want to do that, so I'm gonna undo, select. Okay, now we have this, extrude this object about, let's say, to this point. Alright, so we got a round shape here. Alright, so I'm gonna make the same design on this side and on this side as well. So let's say what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start my polyline command, PL for polyline. Let's make our UCS to this face first. So I'm gonna drop that here, F for face, and I'm gonna drop it here, done. And then I'm gonna start my polyline command, and to the down I'm going to take that about, let's say, 1 feet. Well, I need to match the same measurements, so I'm gonna check the distance from DI from this job. Okay, so now I'm gonna make the same design from. Okay, so now I'm gonna make the same design on this side, on the other side as well. So I've changed my UCS to this face. Select the polyline command, start from this point, and I'm going to go down about 1 feet 3 inch. From this way, use your perpendicular, drop it there, and make that a bit of rectangle, right? And now I'm gonna select this and change that to arc, and going to drop that a little bit, let's say about here, right? And then extrude this object. Well, to extrude that object, what do? You need to change that UCS this time. So I'm going to extrude that object now, and I'm going to extrude that to this side about, let's say, 9-inch. Well, it didn't work, so I have to do the same thing like I did before. I'm going to use my move command. I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to just drop it here, right? I'm going to copy this from this point, and I'm going to drop that about here. Okay, so we got this, and I'm going to make a railing here. So to make a railing, go to your SW isometric view, change that to wireframe, and now we have the plan here, right? So what I can do now is basically I'm gonna start making a railing here on this side. So I can copy these lines and copy this, copy that, and I'm just gonna take them here, right? So here I can start making a railing. So I'm gonna start a line. I can join these, or I can basically offset them, or maybe I make a offset them about, let's say, 2-inch from this line to this side, and same offset from this line to this side, and same offset from this side to this side. And I'm going to use my fillet command. Done. Alright, this is our working area now. Okay, so now I'm gonna get rid of these, all of these, right? Just get rid of all these lines, so we don't need them anymore. Okay. Now let's make a circle here. I'm gonna make a circle here. A diameter should be, let's say, 1.5 inch, or maybe 2 inches fine. 2 inches fine. And now I'm gonna extrude that circle to about, let's say, 2 feet, right? I've got this circle there. Now I'm going to make that a block. So I'm gonna type railing, or maybe a pillar, whatever name you give. Pick a point, and I'm going to pick this point, right? Maybe pick this center point, right? Select your object, select this object, uncheck this opening block editor. I don't want to do that, so that's done. Alright, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my divide command, and I'm going to select this object. Well, let's join this first. So join command, select this line, select this line, select this line. It's been joined now. Alright, so divide command, div, select this object. Now click on this block icon. So now our block was pillar, and divide along block, yes, and segment should be, let's say, 20 or maybe 15. Wow, done. So as you can see that we got that stuff here, and I'm going to take copy. I'm going to copy this pillar from here, and I'm just going to drop one pillar about here, and another pillar I'm going to drop here, right? So now we got these things done. These are basically column layers now. So I'm going to change the layer to 0, and I'm going to turn off my column layer, right? And now what you can do is you make another circle of diameter should be 2 inch, and now rotate that circle to your 3D. Click on it and select on rotate, and give a value of 90 degrees, right? And now you can extrude that circle along the path. Click on this path, and then, okay, so now I'm going to turn on my column layer, and I'm going to copy this. So I'm gonna give you a value of, let's say, 1 feet, and I'm going to give a value of, let's say, 2 feet, and drop one circle here. Alright, so let's have a look now. I'm gonna get rid of this line now, and I'm gonna just select all of these and change them to column. This is kind of railing we have now. I'm gonna move this a little bit on z-axis, so 0, 0, 6 inch. So got that now. Okay, so now it's time to drop that railing there. So what you can do is copy, maybe make a layer. So I'm gonna make a layer, create a new layer, name it L column. I'm not really good with naming the object, so bear with that. So okay, and now I'm gonna select this railing and change that to my L column, so we could apply this. This is basically a block, so that's why it did not apply. It's still a column layer. It will show up in the material, but the color wouldn't change because we have to explode them. I'm gonna copy this railing, select all, and I'm gonna select this quadrant. So I'm gonna hold down Shift key, right click, and click on quadrant. I'm gonna select this quadrant, right? And let's see if we can drop that on a white spot. So we're gonna go here, and let's say I'm gonna try dropping it here. Alright, so now let's have a look. We got our railing. Yep, that's fine. And the same railing I'm going to apply here on this thing. Yep, that's fine. It's much better this time. So we have a design done, we have our railing done. Now it's time for the roof. Okay, so what you can do now is, there's one other thing I want to do here is I want to make that to 3D wireframe, and I'm going to use my boundary command. First type UCS, double enter, it will go back to wall, B or for boundary command, pick this point, and then extrude that about 2 feet. Okay, and make that to the color of the wall. Okay, maybe 3D wall, right? So we're supposed to take this as a 3D wall. Done. Let's make a door over here so people can get out to this area. So I'm gonna go and change my viewport to 3D wireframe, and then isolate your first floor layer, and now you can start working here. So I'm gonna go and grab my UCS and just gonna drop it here. And now I can start working this. So I'm just gonna use my I'm just gonna orbit that here, and then make a rectangle. I'm gonna start making rectangle here, and let's say I'll type D for dimension, and X value is going to be 9 inch, and the Y value is going to be 3 feet 6 inch. Done. So this is our rectangle now, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this 0, let's say 2 feet on the right, and comma 0. Done. And now I'm gonna just turn on my, let's say this layer, and now let's see what we're having. I just need to move this a little bit more, so I'm just gonna 0, 1 feet, 0. That's fine now. And let's turn off this layer by using isolate command, and now I can extrude that. So ext for extrude command, select that, give value of 7 feet. That's done. Well, this is a surface extrusion command. The reason why it's a surface, because I used the surface extrude command before, so I'm going to undo, and I'm going to go to my solid and make sure I select a solid extrusion command. So as you can see now it's a solid, so I'm going to give 7 feet value, and now use your subtract boolean operations with that door from the wall, and now just make a line here. Let's make a line here, and I'm gonna move that to -3 inch, comma 0, comma 0, so it will move minus to x-axis. Alright, so now go to your surface, select your extrude command, select and try extruding that to 7 feet, and select that surface, go to your home tab and change that to door. Okay, well, all good now. Alright, so let's see what we have here now. I'm gonna unisolate all the layers, so I'm gonna change my viewport to shaded, so now we got the door there, right? Okay, this is cool. Okay, so now we're gonna start working on our roof. I've got a backup copy of that boundary here, and now I'm going to offset that about 2 feet outside, and then I'm going to make a rectangle from this line to this line. And now let's have a look what we can do. So there's so many ways that you can do that, but I'm going to show you a quick way. I'm going to extrude this about 4 feet, and I'm going to go to my selection panel. I'm going to select that face, select this face, change your gizmo to scale, and now you can just scale it. Let's say I'm going to select that, and I'm going to scale that a little bit like here, done. Okay, so we got that, and now I'm going to make another rectangle from this point to, let's say, this midpoint. I'm going to drag that vertex and just drop it here. I'm going to extrude that as well about 4 feet, and select your face and scale it a bit. Okay, just scale that. That much is fine. Yep, that's fine. And now I'm going to make another rectangle here from this point to this point, and I'm going to extrude that. I think it's a bit wrong, so I'm going to grab that vertex and just drop it there. So now I'm going to extrude that about 4 feet, and go back to your face, select that face, and then scale that a little bit as well. Okay, so we got something like this. Let's have a look. So we got something like this, right? But I need a little bit of width at the bottom. So what I can do, I got this face, right? So I can extrude that face. Well, keep a copy of that first, because you might need that to make a little bit of designing. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to drop that about here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to union these. So type union and select all your objects. Now this is only one object, right? So just go down here, and now you can select your extrude faces command, select this face, all of these faces, and now I'm gonna give value about 0, 0, -3 inch, and let's see what we have. -3 inch. So let's see what we have here. Okay, so now we have a bit of extrusion down there, so it doesn't look like a solid. Okay, so now we have that, which is pretty okay now. Alright, so now I'm going to change that to wireframe, and I'm going to copy this roof, and I'm gonna select this pick point, and I'm gonna try dropping it there. So I'm gonna drop it about here. Okay, so now let's have a look what we have here now. I'm gonna change that to shaded. Alright, it looks okay to me. And now I'm going to make a copy of these pillars, and I'm gonna pick this point, and I'm gonna try dropping it there. one pillar goes there and the second pillar goes here. So I'm going to move that, pick this point and just drop it there. Alright, so now we have this kind of stuff. I want to make a design like this on over here, but what we can do is basically I can make that design. So let's do that. Okay, so now with that pillar I'm going to drop my UCS there. So UCS, select face and drop your UCS on this spacebar, and your UCS is there now. Okay, so now I'm going to change that to wireframe column layer, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to isolate that column layer, and now I'm going to start making and turn on over 3D wall layer as well. That's fine, and let's do it. So I'm going to change my viewport to, let's say, front. Now we have the place to work, so I'm going to start my Polyline command. Let's pick this point and I'm going to just go down a little bit, let's say 3 feet here, and I'm going to, that's actually too much, so I'm going to change that to 2.5 feet, and I'm going to make a perpendicular line here. I'm going to go up perpendicular and just drop that there, right? So I'm going to change that to an arc and just drop it there, right? So that's very good. Okay, and now I'm going to change my viewport and I'm going to extrude this from here to, let's say, can I do perpendicular? So I'm going to give a value of 1 feet and 3 inch. Okay, so let's see what we have here. I want to change that to my shaded wireframe, and let's go have a look. Well, it's a bit off, so I'm going to move that. So I'm going to move that from this point and I'm just going to drop it perpendicular there, and I'm going to make a copy of this from this point, and I can just turn on my auto and drop that perpendicular. So turn on your layers and let's find out what we have here. Right, so this is okay, this looks alright. So now there's another thing I can do. I can just copy that, and I'm gonna copy that from this midpoint, and I'm just gonna try dropping it to the midpoint, and now I'm going to rotate that. I'm gonna select that and change that gizmo to rotation. Select this gizmo and 90° from this point, and try I'm going to change that to wireframe so I can see what's going on. So this is our object, right? So I'm going to copy this object and I'm going to try dropping it here on the corner first, right? And let's see on the right side, is it fit? Alright, it does fit. So I'm going to move that now, starting point, and just gonna drop that there. So let's find out. Okay, alright, it's cool. This looks alright to me. Alright, so we got pretty much stuff. Well, it's up to you guys. That I'm going to nearly finish that and I'm gonna start applying rendering, but it's really up to you. What can you make? If you ask me, that I could make a lot more design into this building, but it uses all the command. All you have to do is use your common sense and how to use this command. I'm gonna try making one more thing here. So for that, I'm going to go to my top view and I'm going to have a look. This is a column there, right? So I'm gonna make a rectangle here. Maybe I can extrude this face. So if I choose my extrude face command, and I'm gonna extrude that to about, let's say, 3 feet. Alright, and now I'm gonna select that, and I'm going to select that face and select, let's say, select that face, right? And you can change your gizmo to scale. So can we do that? Yeah, that's fine. and that's it. Let me check if it looks alright. So yeah, that looks better. And now I'm going to clean up a little bit. I'm gonna get rid of these windows and all that stuff what we don't need. So okay, so you need to change that to no filter mix. So we don't need that anymore, right? We don't need this stuff. Alright guys, I'm gonna make another thing here in my drawing. As you know that we got this design here, I want this design to go around to my top roof as well. We isolate this object, and then there's another command called isolate object. So I'm gonna isolate object, isolate this object, so it doesn't matter what layer we have on other objects, so it doesn't really matter. So now I'm going to copy the face. So go to your copy face command, select it, select that face, and you can take that face and try dropping it about here. Okay, so now we got that face there, right? So I'm gonna unisolate all my objects, unisolate. Now we got the design back. I'm gonna unisolate everything there, and now we have our boundary. So now this is our boundary, right? This is called a region, so I can explode that to get rid of the 3D. So now it's a separate object. So I'm going to join those objects this time and select the all objects. Let's see, now we got a proper object now. Okay, so now here I'm going to use my break command again from this point to here. So I've broken that part and I've got this thing here, right? So you can use the same copy command, copy that face, take that, and you can drop that straight away here, which is really easy. I'm gonna use that 0 layer now. I'm gonna use my extrude command, select that, and P for part. Select this part. There you go, we got that thing done. Alright, so with this error, what you can do is you can basically move that face. So for now, so I'm gonna move this, select from this point, and I'm dropping it here now. Okay, so now let's have a look what we have here. Alright, so we got the same design on the top and bottom, which is really good. And I'm going to get rid of this layer first. Okay, so now there's more you can add, but I'm going to do one more thing and that's it for this tutorial. And we're gonna jump into our rendering and animation tutorial. So what you can do, okay, so I can make another layer here, and that would be helpful to apply different kind of materials. So how do we do that? I'm going to isolate this wall layer. Well, you can do one more thing basically. I'm going to change that to 3D wireframe, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy edge. Okay, so here in the solid editing you have this command copy edge, right? So I'm going to try and copy this line. Okay, so let's say this green line, and I'm going to try copying it. You need to isolate this layer so you could copy that. I'm going to select this and I'm going to select this edge, and I'm going to take that, let's say I'm just going to drop it here. Alright, it's cool. So now unisolate all your layers and let's get a face one more time. So use your copy face command, select this face and try this face and try dropping it here. So I'm gonna turn off my auto. The shortcut key for that is F8, and I will drop that here, right? So now you select that, change your gizmo to rotational, select this angle and -90. Alright, so we got that now. Okay, so I'm gonna select these, and now I'm going to basically extrude that. Okay, so before we extrude that, what we can do is we can make another. Okay, I'm gonna extrude that. So ext for extrusion, select this part, done. So we got that. Go at the back and try extrude faces command. So select that, extrude faces command, this from here, and you can give value of 1 feet, done. I think this is kind of too much for the window shade. So undo and select your extrude face command, select this point and give 6-inch. That's fine. Okay, so now I'm going to make another layer, give a value of window shade. I'm too bad for these naming, so okay, so window shade there. Now I'm gonna try putting it there, so I'm gonna copy this, so we have that now. Okay, so one more thing we do here is I'm going to basically copy that face, this face, and just drop it about, turn on your auto, so you've got that right. Okay, we got this now. Yeah, so I'm gonna extrude this about, let's say, maybe 1 inch, and I'm going to copy that same face here, and I'm going to subtract that from this wall to okay, so we got that now, right? So now I can apply a different kind of material, or the whole point of doing this is that you could be able to apply a different kind of material. Alright, so now I'm gonna extrude them, EXD, about, let's say, 6 inch. 6 inch is fine. Now make a new layer, give it ground, keep color maybe yellow, doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm going to change this to my ground layer, done. And now this is basically, what's the distance? 6 inch, right? DI, the distance command. I just did it, I forget it. Right, this is 6 inch, right? So I'm isolate everything, and now basically what you do, you move your whole object, move everything, and give a value of 0 for x, comma 0 for y, comma 6 inch. Alright, so now we got that. Now if I move that from, let's say, here, maybe here, and I can just drop that about here, right? Which is not a good idea because that wouldn't work, so I've got to move that from this point to make sure that it's okay. So now let's find out what's going on here. So we got our ground done. Okay, alright, so let's design something for the front view. So what I want to do is basically change your UCS, type UCS, select your face, and I'm just gonna drop that face there. Alright, and now I'm gonna start a rectangle command. I'm gonna roughly draw a rectangle, give a dimension of, let's say, about, length would be minus 15 feet, and then height would be 6 inch. Alright, let's see what we have here. So we have our thing here, so I'm just going to drag that vertex, just gonna drag that vertex a little bit further, and I can just move this vertex a little bit down here. Right, so we got this thing right. So I'm gonna make a copy of this, and I'm going to drop that same thing here. Right, and I'm gonna extrude this from up to this point. That's done, and I'm going to extrude that up till here. Right, so we got two things done. This is going to be our entry for our door, and this is going to be a kind of different material here. Right, cool. So this is done, and now make another layer, make another rectangle from this line to change the UCS to normal now. Make a rectangle from this point to about this point, and let's give this region command. So region, change that to region, so this is like a region now. It's the extrude face command. So extrude face, extrude this face, this side, and 6 inch. Alright, so done. Okay, so this is going to be our plants and stuff here, and I'm gonna be like a plants and stuff. This is going to be a street area. I can fillet that edge and give radius of about 2 inch. Done. And I can basically fillet this part as well. Alright, done. That's done, that's done. And let's, yep, that's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna change the layers for this. So go to your layer properties, make a layer G1, and leave the color green, and make a layer G2, leave a color green, and plants. Okay, leave the color clean. So I'm going to select this first, give this G1, and change that to G2, and this is going to be a plant. Okay, so done. Let's add one more thing here. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my top view, and let's make a rectangle. Make a rectangle from here to about there, right? So make another rectangle about here. This is going to be our road, right? And then, okay, so now I'm gonna make one more thing here. Okay, so now I'm gonna use my Polyline command, give about 3 feet, and let's say give about 3 inch down. Take that reference there from this one and just drop it here, drop it there. Okay, so now we got that, right? So I'm gonna change this to isometric view, and I'm gonna extrude that to about, let's say, 2 inch. Done. And I'm gonna select that, change the gizmo to rotation, select this value, give value of 90 degree. Done. Okay, so I'm going to select that, select this value, and I'm going to give 90 degree value as well. Okay, so we have that. I'm gonna make that as a block. So O red or R, whatever. Specify a point. I'm gonna select this point, select the object. I'm gonna select this object, and I'm going to click OK. Alright, so this is a railing now. So I'm going to basically, first of all, copy this rectangle, and I'm just gonna drop this here. div, divide this, B for block, OR is a block name, yes, and I give 250. Done. And then I'm going to take this and I'm gonna convert this to region, and then I'm going to move this, and I'm going to drop that here, get rid of this line, and just move that here. Okay, move that there, about here. Right, so let's see what we have here. I'm gonna change this, and I'm going to take the vertex, and I'm going to drop that about here. Okay. Alright, so we got this boundary stuff here. I can make a bit more, but I've done enough here. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope you like this tutorial. If you do, please hit down that thumbs up button and stay tuned for the next part of this tutorial. In the next part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply material and rendering in AutoCAD and in 3D Studio Max as well. So I'm going to take this model and export this to 3D Studio Max and apply material and apply some animation as well, and then we will render our final view in Photoshop. So stay tuned for that and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Cheers.